Hello and welcome to Hatha Yoga with me, Hatha Yoga teacher Lesley Wilson. So just a short little sequence to help you if you have issues with your lower back. So I'm not professing that I can cure any lower back problems. However, if we've been experiencing some strange times, so if you're used to being quite active and because the gyms and exercise classes have not been available, it's not always easy to motivate ourselves to do something on our own from home. Excuse me. So this is resulting in quite a few people feeding back to me that because they're sitting in not a very ergonomic chair, working from home, over a laptop for long periods of time, day in, day out, without maybe getting out for a walk or doing any kind of stretching, they are sort of becoming quite stiff around the lower back area. So I'm just going to show you some gentle activities that can help ease that. And obviously the more you move something, the better it's going to be, the freer it's going to be. So if you haven't practiced any yoga before, this is really gentle. Most of it is actually done supported by the floor, so it's pretty safe. However, if you have serious back issues, injuries, I would suggest that you speak to your GP before you go any further. If you like what I do, hit like and subscribe. There's quite a bit of material on here that I've posted for all different levels and abilities. So we're just going to begin by coming down onto the floor. So ideally a mat, although you don't have to have one, just makes life a bit easier and stops you from slipping. So we're just going to bring the knees up close towards the feet up close towards the buttocks, and then we're going to take the hands down by the sides of the body first of all. So just connecting with the breath, allowing the spine to relax. So normally when we begin a class, traditionally we'd begin in Shavasana, palms up to the ceiling and legs extended. However, if you do have some stiffness in your lower back, I recommend that you keep the knees bent. And if you want the legs to relax, you can take the feet a little bit wider and just let the knees fall in together. So just taking a few breaths here, closing the eyes, and just try and leave behind your busy day, coming into the present moment. And then we're just going to begin with a gentle, almost like a spinal massage. So you can hug the knees not too close in towards the chest, clasp the hands around the outside, or you can just keep the hands on the knees, whichever is more comfortable. And then you're just going to begin rocking very gently from side to side. So you'll feel that nice massage across the shoulder blades and across the lower back here. So very gentle, very slow. Don't have to go over too far. So head and knees going in the same direction. And you can have the eyes open or closed, whichever is your preference. So we're just going to do this a few more times. And then we can come back to the centre. So keep the knees bent, but again, don't have them hugged too close in towards the chest. Pop the hands on the kneecaps now, and we're just going to gently draw circles with the knees. So again, easing out the lower back, and then just starting to warm up the hips. And this can be done really nice and slowly, and then sort of do some one way and then go back the other way. So keep changing direction, just keep them nice and slow. And by holding onto the kneecaps, you're not putting too much pressure on the abdominal muscles. So keeping the spine nice and safe. And then changing direction again if it feels all right for you. Try and make sure you do rotations to the right and to the left, the same amount, so that you're evenly balanced. Okay, so let's just pop the 2 feet down on the mat now. Bring the feet nice at the heels, nice and close in towards the buttocks, but make sure that the feet are hip width apart, so you've got a space between the heels. We're then going to take the arms down by the sides of the body and rest the palms so they're facing down towards the mat. And this is a really, really gentle way to warm up the spine, gently easing out the back once again. So it's a pelvic tilt. So when you breathe out, just round the spine and rock the pelvis forwards. And then when you breathe in, arch the spine. You should be able to slip your hand underneath that lower back there. So breathing out, rounding the spine, just rocking the pelvis forwards. And when you breathe in, arch the spine, tilt the pelvis backwards. Don't beat yourself up about the breath. As long as you do, keep breathing. That's the most important thing. So we're just going to do a few of these with the breath. And then we can release this activity, bring the spine back to stillness. So just a couple of nice, easy breaths here. So we're going to keep the knees bent, but we're going to stretch out start to open up the hips now, as well as the lower back. So we place the outer edge of the right foot on top of the left thigh, so that right knee is pointing out to the side. Now, if you don't have a lot of flexibility and this isn't going to work for you, I will show you an alternative or a way to modify this. But if you lift the head, you'll see a triangular gap. So you're going to place the right hand through that gap and then join the 2 hands together around the back of the left thigh. So just rest the head back down on the mat, and then you can gently start to draw the left thigh in towards the chest. So you've got a couple of things going on here. You're stretching the piriformis muscle on the right side. You're opening up the right hip, and you're also stretching out the lower back. Now, if this is difficult for you, then I suggest you get a tie, not a resistance band. You don't want one that's going to stretch, and then you can just, so if you're here, for example, you can just hold that and just draw that in if you find it difficult to reach around the back of the thigh. So there's always something around a dressing gown, belt, or a gentleman's tie. So just holding that for a couple more breaths. And then just releasing. So we're going to stretch away the left leg and leave the right knee bent. So it doesn't have to be right up close to the buttock, it could be slightly further away depending on how comfortable that feels for you. So we're going to bring the left hand down onto the floor beside the body, palm facing down, and then we're going to take the right hand and we're just going to ease that right knee out to the side. Try and keep that left buttock connected to the mat. So if that right knee doesn't reach the floor, it doesn't matter. Again, just close the eyes and allow the body to soften into the stretch. And then just take the right hand to the outer edge of the right thigh. Gently bring that knee up. And then we're going to bring the left foot, the outer edge of the left foot, place that on the right thigh. Again, lift the head, left hand through the triangle gap this time, Join the two hands together around the back of the right thigh, rest the head back down, and then start to draw the right thigh in towards the chest. And remember, you can use your tie or your dressing gown belt to hook around the back of the right thigh if you can't reach. And then we can release that right foot and the left foot. So stretch away the right leg this time and keep the left knee bent. Remember, you can place the foot wherever is comfortable for you. Right hand comes down onto the mat beside the body, palm facing downwards. And then with the left hand, we're just going to gently ease that knee out to the side. So again, try and keep the right buttock connected to the mat. And if there is a space between the left knee and the floor, it doesn't matter. But if that's causing discomfort, then you can always put a pillow or a cushion underneath that knee so that it allows you to just relax softly into the stretch. And then taking that left hand to the outer edge of the left leg, and then just bringing that knee gently back up so you can stretch away both the legs. Now give the legs a little bounce. We're going to work with a spinal twist. So we're going to bend the arms. I do apologise. Let's bend the knees and take the arms out wide at right angles to the sides of the body. Now if you don't have space to take the arms out completely, take the upper arms out at a right angle and have a bend in the elbows. And then you can keep the feet on the mat, or if you prefer, hug the knees closer in towards the chest. And again, if you don't want to go all the way over, you can quite easily put a cushion or a pillow to either side of you to support your knees. So when you next breathe out, take the knees over to the right. So just check that out for a minute, see how that feels. Hopefully both shoulders are still connected to the mat. If this left shoulder's lifted a little bit, it's not the end of the world. So if that feels okay for the neck and the spine, perhaps you can turn the face to the left and keep the breathing nice and steady. And then bringing the head and knees back to centre as you breathe in. And then when you breathe out, take the knees over to the left. And then if that feels okay, you can turn the face to the right. And then as you breathe in, bring the head and knees back to centre. Let's do one more to each side. So breathing out, knees back over to the right and face to the left. So if that's feeling really nice down that left side and across into the middle of the lower back, you can bring the right hand across, just place it on the thigh somewhere, and that'll just ease those knees down to the floor a little bit more. But make sure that you listen to your own body, and if your body is telling you that's not right for you, then just release that hand or leave it where it was. And then take a breath in and come back to centre. And breathing out, take the knees back over to the left, and then maybe turn the face to the right. See if that right shoulder's come up at all. And then we take a breath in, bring the head and knees back to the centre. So we're going to roll over onto one of our sides and then just make our way up to a seated position. Now, cross-leg position is not for everyone. So if that is the case, then you can grab yourself a chair, sit with the legs extended, probably a little bit more comfortable to have a space between the heels. And if you wish to, you can even have a little cushion just underneath, just to help raise the hips slightly. But if you are comfortable cross-legged, then that's a good way to sit. So we're going to work with what we call our Kundalini CatCow stretch. This is again really good for just loosening up the spine, keeping the spine nice and flexible. So when you breathe in, you're going to push the chest forward and lift the chin. And then as you breathe out, roll the shoulders round the spine, bring the chin towards the chest. As you breathe in, come all the way forwards, lift the chin, push the chest forward, bring the shoulder blades together. Breathing out, rounding those shoulders, bring the chin to the chest, round the back. And breathe in as you come forwards. So just thinking about what's going on within the body now. Where can you feel that movement? Keep going, breathing out as you round the spine, bring the chin to the chest. And then breathing in as you come forwards. And then maybe think about what's happening in the back as you do this movement. And then you can come back to a central position. So if sitting cross-legged or just, sort of unsupported, or having the back unsupported is really uncomfortable for you for whatever reason, you can do a similar type of thing when you come onto the hands and knees. So just spreading the fingers out nice and wide, try and make sure the weight's distributed evenly throughout the whole of the hand. A lot of people just rest on the heels of their hand and you're not going to be able to protect your wrists too well. So you want the middle finger pointing towards the top edge of the mat. And then just a quick check down that the knees are underneath the hips, and take the feet so they're behind the knees. And then we're just going to do the same movement now, but on all fours as opposed to seated. So once again, as you breathe out, round the spine, and then bring the chin towards the chest. When you breathe in, just imagine that you're dropping the waist and the sternum, bottom comes up, head comes up. Breathing out, rounding, and breathing in, arching. And again, you can do this eyes open or closed, whichever is your preference. Now, if you do have quite severe back issues, I'd recommend not exaggerating this quite as much. So you could just do a little rocking motion. Doesn't have to be as extreme. Just doing whatever feels right for you. So if you're pushing up and really bringing the chin in towards the chest and that doesn't feel right, then just modify it, take it back a step. And the same, you don't need to drop the waist and tailbone and head come up. You can just do a little tilt, whichever feels best. So a few of these. And then coming into flat-backed cat, our neutral position. So we're going to come into a child's pose now. So let's sit back on the heels. And then you can make a little stack with your two fists and rest the head on the hands. Ideally, you can bring the forehead down to the mat
and then take the arms so they're either side of the feet. So you can feel those shoulders are rolling, they're draped over the knees. And then again, just close the eyes. You can really feel that opening up across the mid and lower back here. And then slowly uncurl, coming all the way back up to a seated position. So we're going to come into the flapping fish, and we're going to come down onto the abdomen. So extending the legs out behind you. And then first of all, we're going to bring the right elbow to the top of the mat. Left hand will come and sit on top of that right hand, or underneath, whichever feels better. But tuck this left elbow in really close to the rib cage. We're going to roll slowly, slightly over onto the right hip. Bend that left knee. Bring it up towards the left arm. Now you can rest the head down on the arm, on the right arm. If that causes you issues with your right shoulder, release that right arm. Take it around the back, lay it along the floor, and then you can rest the right side of the face on the mat. So this is also good if you suffer with sciatica, as it takes the pressure from the sciatic nerve. Thankfully, I've never had sciatica, so I've not been able to actually road test it, but I'm assured that it does work. And again, you can close the eyes and just becoming aware of the sensations that you can feel in the body. Are you feeling any resistance anywhere? Are you feeling any relief or release anywhere? Very nice restorative pose is the flapping fish. And then we'll lift the head. Going to stretch away that left leg, and then we're going to swap sides. So just bringing the left elbow to the top of the mat now, and tucking in the right elbow nice and close to the rib cage. Roll slightly over onto the left hip, bend the right knee, bring it all the way up. Then you can rest the head on the arm. Remember, if that's uncomfortable on that shoulder, take the arm down behind the back. Keep it nice and close in behind the body, and then just lay the left side of the head on the mat. And just close the eyes and enjoy a few moments. Keep the breath nice and steady. And then see if this side feels any different than when you did the other side. And then we can lift the head, stretch away that right leg. We're going to bring the hands so they're underneath the shoulders now, and then push back into a child's pose once again, as we've done a bit of a back bend. So rounding out that spine. And then slowly uncurling, keep the chin tucked in.
as you come back up to a seated position. So just a few simple stretches that you can use. Try and maybe factor it into maybe 3 times a week perhaps, and then trying to just build up gradually from there until you can get back to your regular activities, and hopefully that won't be too much longer. So thank you very much for watching. Apologies for the disturbances from the cat, and I will see you all soon. Take care.